What's going on, guys? It's been a while, but we are finally back. As you know, me and Andrew attempted to start a podcast not too long ago with Grit and Grindstone. Had a bunch of things go down to include his building burning down, then building what we're sitting in here today.
Yeah.
And it's finally open. And so we decided we wanted to bring the podcast back. We're going to call it the It Is What It Is podcast, which I think is appropriate given especially all his circumstances. So quick introduction. I'm James McCool, part owner of Horizon Creative, full-time police officer. And yeah, we're here just to kind of update everybody on what's been going on, where we're at, and kind of what the future is looking like. Andrew?
Yeah. So originally when we started the podcast, so even though we're going to change the name of it, the entire goal was to be able to talk to people in our communities, our own neck of the woods, to kind of learn from them, especially people who have gone through tough situations. And that was the goal before the fire. I mean, the 2-year tribulation at the church and all of that stuff. So I've been kind of baptized in fire, no pun intended, throughout that entire process, and have learned a lot. But the goal really remains unchanged in that we don't want to talk as much as we want to learn. And so today we're going to do a short version. We definitely want to do multiple episodes, probably every few weeks, because we have a lot of people in our lives that we've learned from. I know I started my first business when I was like 21, and I had a lot of people pour into me and help me out. And I think, especially with Horizon, not getting too ahead of ourselves, but we've both learned a lot, and we want to continue to do that. So a little bit about me is I own CrossFit Trussell since 21, and then after the fire, well, actually before the fire, started Drip Trustful with Daniel, and then James and I went into a venture together, Horizon Creative, which we'll definitely talk to today. We're both wearing the shirts because we had a meeting today. We didn't try to match, but we had a meeting today and came up here and did this. So today's probably going to be more so just like recapturing, talk about where we've been since the last one. If you're not interested in that, definitely go to the next episode because we want to have some cool people on here. There's a lot of folks who've gone through tough things, whether it's personal or professional, that we'd like to learn from. Mm-hmm. And not to take the mic over, but is what it is. It is what it is. Supposedly that was the first thing I said during the fire. Somebody was asking how I was doing. Everybody was outside, crying and praying and working our way through it emotionally and strategically. And somebody asked how I was doing, and I said, it is what it is. And I think that's a philosophy that James and I both have had in our life, even though it wasn't like verbal, is that life throws you curveballs, and there's multiple ways you can handle that and deal with it. But at the end of the day, you kind of confront it and then overcome it. So that's really, I guess throughout this entire process, we want to, interact with people who've done that. So.
Yeah, so life update. I think most of you know about Andrew's own CrossFit Trustful. You said 21. I think you misspoke. When did you buy it? What year?
2010.
Through 2010. So Andrew's on CrossFit Trustful through 2010. Had a couple of gym moves. Ultimately landed here. Many of you know fire burnt down the old building. Complete loss and quick to make transitions to not miss a day of working out. And then I know we updated, or you really updated a lot of people on one of our last episodes with Gabriel, just talking about what all went down with the fire. But for people who don't know, I'm sure they think this whole process is probably as easy as I want a building in the same space that my old building was. But before we get into Horizon and kind of talking about future ventures and whatnot, why don't you update everybody on the process of what has become the Phoenix, which is home of CFT Reboot as well as a bunch of other businesses.
So the good, the bad, and the ugly. Starting with the good, definitely it's a blessing. We've been at a church, and that was one of the things that I wanted to do is hopefully have a church here. So we used a church, and hopefully a church could use us or our building. And we did. Cahaba City Church is here, and they had their first service 2 weeks ago. I was here making sure everything worked. And then I actually didn't come up here this past Sunday, and they had it, no issues whatsoever. And they'll be here every Sunday having church, and they're growing, they're doing great, making it their own. We have Ironclad Wrestling with Jake Elkins. I think he's starting tonight. I talked to a gentleman downstairs. We actually started this a little late because I was giving him information so he could talk to Jake. We have the Dojang Martial Arts, which is they've got a kickboxing program, karate, martial arts, all things striking. And then Lions Pride Jiu-Jitsu, which is really tough jiu-jitsu, adults, and wearing a gi. I want to get back into that competitively. Very, very cool. And then us, and then Resilient Physical Therapy. So Chelsea actually left her job and started Resilient herself and named it Resilient, kind of like her story and her personal story as well as professional. So, and we're all up here rocking and rolling. That's the good. The bad, very stressful. People warned me at the very beginning that building a building never goes as the way you expect in terms of like the amount of money invested and then the timeline and communication, and that's very true. It went well for a while, but now here we are at the end, and even before we started talking, we were like, this room is hot, and turns out this vent isn't working, so I fully expect him to walk in during this. And I guess that's the same thing with the ugly too, is that once we got in here, everybody was like, are you happy to be at the finish line? And really, this is kind of the starting line to where I can get in here and start adding stuff for everybody. But it is the finish line for the building, but the starting line for the business. So it's been a learning process. I definitely would never want to do it again. I can't imagine building my own house. People that do that, I can't imagine. I will always buy. I will never,
Knowing what you know now.
Oh my gosh. So, but yeah, it's I've learned a lot, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. But it is a lot of long hours and thinking. You're constantly you're in your head, just always trying to problem solve. So, yeah.
And then, so Andrew has tenants in here, but explain also, I guess, what the Phoenix is also going to be used for as far as event venue, corporate
we're going to
meetings.
try that. So we have the space. There's not really a place in Trustful to have big events. We have plenty of space, and we can convert this into anything. I mean, we pipe and drape can cover everything. We're keeping the space very neutral, and we've got a lot of corporate interest. We've got folks asking about weddings, and we've got a lot of decorating. I started working on the string lights this weekend. A lot of decorating to make it softer and less of just like painted walls. Like you can see the background of me and James, like the one decoration is the TV in here. But we've got to soften it up so people get the vision and can see themselves in here with makeup mirrors and all that stuff if we go that route. But we would love to do the event side. Mm-hmm. Candace would be tickled pink to be able to come up here and see a bride enjoying themselves. And we definitely have the space and the kitchen, the community room, and up here for a bridal suite. We have the space to do it. It's just if people want to. But we got married in a gym. We at what's it called? Celebrations.
Same spot
in Pell City. So, is that where you got married? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's
how y'all found it.
Yeah. Oh, did okay.
I assume that's
yeah, probably. But they're a gym. What's it called? The groomsmen. Yeah. We went over and jumped on the bouncy houses right before I got married. So, yeah. So anyways, yeah, I mean, not that we're going to have bouncy houses here, but it goes to show you that we have a big area, and you can decorate however you want. So if we go that route, I would love to, but we'll see if people want it. Yeah.
Cool. Do you want to explain or whatever basically how y'all are operating right now with the temporary
Temporary what?
certificate of
Oh, TCO, that's not a big deal. I want to talk about Horizon. I want
you want to get straight into
I want to hear from you. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't want to get into that because that's just going to be
You're a businessman now.
I don't want to get into that because it's just going to be like making fun of me. But
No.
hey, you know what? We can get into that. So as many people know, or maybe you've seen, maybe you haven't, I've been helping, and me and Andrew have been partnering doing live streams for CrossFit Trustful's Friday Night Lights. And it started out really small, and it's gotten what I think is a really good production.
Yeah, it's grown very fast.
For at that time, just a few dudes with it wasn't a business, it wasn't anything. It was just us putting on a production that people enjoyed. If they couldn't be here, they could watch online. We had people in the chat. It was just something that people actually looked forward to every year. And it ended up being to where, it was something you could offer sponsors to have some time on the show. And that was a lot of fun. We were really hoping that this building would have been done before Friday Night Lights.
Unfortunately.
Because, I'd already had the envisioned setup of this awesome window here overlooking the athletes, people hanging on the rails, not hanging, let's not use the word, no hanging on the rails, but people just, on the upstairs looking down over the railing, and how just cool that kind of production thing would have been. As anyone who's ever built anything, whether it's a business or a house or whatever, that delays happen and things happen and it's out of your control. You just kind of have to say it is what it is, no pun intended. But so we did this year again. We ran the live stream out of the church. We used the church's office space out back as our our host area, where camera one, as I called it, was, and that was our commentators talking about what was going on. Then we had our overview camera inside the gym, and then we've developed a floor camera, like a up close in action camera on a gimbal, and we've got HDMI transmitters that can still get you 1080p, and so it's just made it into a really, really fun event. And I think it was after week
because
one?
that's what I was going to ask you. How was Horizon started? Did you think it was going to start? And then obviously we know that it has. And what's being a business owner like?
Yeah, so I actually tried my own hand at because I've developed this craft of videography, all self-taught from YouTube. I decided, hey, I need to get a business name and a business license and a business bank account, and I need to get all my ducks in a row before I ever try to make money. And then I had all my ducks in a row, and I just got busy, and I never made any money, never did anything, but also have never run a business, never started a business. I've always been an hourly worker. Whatever my hours are, I go to work, I do my job. Don't any of my friends at work don't say anything in the comments about that. I do my job.
Feel free.
I do my job, and I go home and I get a paycheck that's taxed, and live a normal, working class life. And
which is nothing wrong with that. It's just a different perspective.
100%.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm used to, and I like to think I'm good with talking to people. And,
you are.
And whatnot, but it just never panned out. I mean, I literally made $0. I made it would literally be and this ain't just trying to make sure the IRS knows, literally would make $200 or $300 a year just because I would randomly pick up a side little gig, making a reel for CFT or Drip or something like that. And that was the end of it. I'd done all the steps and paid money and made business bank accounts and all that sort of stuff.
And not to interrupt you, but you were doing a great job for Trustful at that same time, right?
So
it's not like you were bad.
No, yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, I mean, that's my part of my full-time job at Trustful is to manage all the social media accounts as well as create video content for the police department. It's become fairly popular on YouTube and Facebook, and we've grown millions of views on those platforms. But I get about, not only do I get $0 from that other than my normal paycheck, but I'm talking in terms of YouTube and views and growing a community. The police department can't either. Nothing's monetized. It is all out there for transparency with the public. There may be a way to monetize, but that's just a can of worms you get into. If someone's going to try to say that we're only out here doing this, that, and the other to get views on YouTube, to get the police department money, and so we're not even opening up that can of worms.
Yeah, I don't think I would want my police department making money off of like really crazy arrests.
Yeah, so for us,
it is touchy.
Yeah, for us, it's really positive. We've gotten a lot of great feedback from the community, and we've actually gotten some really good recruiting. That's the big thing is the recruiting out of it.
And quality recruits too.
Yeah. I mean, we still get some not quality recruits, but at the end of the day, we have gotten some good quality recruits out of that. So that's been good. So fast forward, we did our most recent live stream. I think it was, I can't remember if it was after the first, second, or third week of it.
It was third.
It was after it was like all said and done.
Yeah.
Me and Andrew, we'd kind of combined our gear to put this on because he's got cameras and tripods and I've got cameras and tripods, and that's how we made the live stream happen. And we were like folding up cables at the end of the live stream, and he was like, "Hey man, have you ever thought about like making an actual run at this?"
I actually was like, why haven't you done this for other people? Because this is a crazy value. I mean, it was great. We got extreme exposure and everybody loved it. So I wasn't trying to like, get you to do something. I was just genuinely curious. Like, there's got to be other people you're doing this for. And I was blown away that you weren't.
Yeah, and so when you first asked me about it, I was like, man, nobody's going to pay what I would charge to put on this live stream production.
Yeah.
And I think you were like, yeah, they would.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just don't see it, this, that, and the other. We probably sat down for an hour and a half, close to 2 hours.
We stood around.
Yeah, we stood. Yeah, we finally, like at the end, went and sat down. But, and so we talked about it for a while, and it was just like, hey, this has potential, or he thought it had potential. I have no business knowledge, anything like that. So I'm just going to trust him on if he thinks it really has potential. Like, this could be a very good partnership. The business end, right? And you also understand the videography space. And I've gotten some results in the videography space. So instead of me doing what I tried to do a few years ago and make all the business mistakes and take years to do that, let's just partner. You do what you know, I'll do what I know. We'll stay in constant communication, full transparency, and we'll just see how this goes. And so we did something that not a lot of people do, in my opinion. I haven't seen other people do it. We did like a stealth launch of the business. A lot of people, when they have business, and there's nothing wrong with this either, is, hey, coming soon, coming 3 months from now, 6 months from now, whatever. Here's my Instagram, Facebook. Please go follow me, this, that, and other. We didn't do any of that. We did nothing. We worked for quite some time, more you than me, but on the branding, how we were going to brand this company. And once we locked in the branding, then we acquired social media accounts and all those sort of things, and
domains, website, all that stuff.
Worked out, contract between ourselves of what was expected, and so everybody was on the same page. And then we just started creating, right? I have a friend that I've met through the police department. I keep gesturing that way. The police department is literally that way through this window.
Past
I'll
the
have
camera.
to, yeah, I'll have to get like a panning shot, but to that direction.
We
Police-
honestly probably need to do like an episode. I don't know if we need to have like tell people how to start a business, because
you can tell them.
well, I mean, it's not that this is a business podcast, but obviously that's like a lot of what I know. And I think people get in their heads a lot that business is like a dog eat dog world, and like a scarcity mindset of I've got to take and got to go get and negotiate and lowball people, and it's all really cutthroat, and it's not at all.
Nope. I found out real quick.
Yeah.
You can make money doing anything.
You can make money
that
doing
you're
anything.
passionate about.
And we're definitely, it is what it is. The podcast is going to be about what we talked about earlier. But at the same time, I would imagine I can't help myself but talk about a lot of business. And for anybody that's watching, if you want to start a business, the first thing you need to identify is if you can provide value to people. That's it. That's number one. Do other people want or need this? And so when I asked James, like, you've got to be doing this for other people, right? And he was like, no. I was like, what? Like, it's not about taking money from people. It's about they themselves would benefit and pay you because they know it would help them grow their business. Because at the end of the day, you're not hurting anybody. You're helping people, because he does something. He has a gift that nobody else has. And at the end of the day, the market will determine how much you're worth. You know what I mean? If you're a $50 an hour person, that's what people will pay. And if they don't pay that, then that's you finding out you're a $5 an hour person or a $10 an hour person or whatever. But yeah, to start a business, find out if you can provide value. And yeah, I'm going through like a bunch, like Blue Ocean type stuff and 10X. There's a lot of books that will get into the weeds and different things to make the start easier. But that's step one. And then step two is really good branding, because what you want to communicate is, if you can provide value, you want to communicate that value to the people and show them this is what we can, so how long did we spend on trying to come up with a good name? Because you came up with the name. You did. Horizon. You did. Yeah, that was yours. You don't remember that?
Dude,
Yeah.
There's been so much.
Yeah.
There's been so much.
I decided to take out the O, the I, and the O.
Yeah,
So that
no
was
vowels.
my contribution.
No vowels.
Yeah. I did the same thing with the Phoenix, because it's not that the average person can't spell, but I think our attention spans are getting shorter, and it's just easier for just HRZ and Horizon. It's a little bit more enigmatic, mysterious, but and it means something too. Like, on the horizon, new ventures, the newness awaits, sunrise. So yeah, a good company name. We probably spent weeks on that.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Hundreds of possible names.
Yeah, and for those of you who haven't met Andrew,
gosh.
Yeah. Because I know you're going to make fun of me here shortly.
No,
as we
I'm
get
not.
into some- Okay, you're going to speak truths
I don't
about
know where
me.
this is about to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see let's see.
Let's see what
All
we're
right.
going to do here. Okay. So it's not just like when he's thinking of, let's look at this name. It's not like, is that a cool name? This guy is going to build a fake website, a fake logo. He's going to have t-shirts made. Literally, he's going to take that name and brand it out, because we did that with several other names beforehand. This is what it would look like on a t-shirt, on a website, on an Instagram, on everything, down to a logo thumbnail.
Yeah, color palette, potential
Yes.
logos. Yeah.
So when he's talking about we thought on it for a while, it was put into practice.
Almost production. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but ultimately we landed on it, and I don't know who works. It's definitely it's done well.
I think so.
I think the branding has done really well, and we're 3 months in.
Yeah.
Right.
So being 3 months in, is this where you thought we would be? My turn.
Yes, this is exactly. I thought we'd be further along, but things have been moving slow. No, and that's where I was going in the front end. Like I know someone through work. If you're in Trustful, you know who he is. Name's Drew Lawley, General Manager, Courtesy GMC. Shout out to them.
Yeah, he's awesome.
They were the first ones that I called him up and I said, "Hey man, me and Andrew are starting up this project. We want to kind of come out and show you what we can do." And there was no hesitation, no anything about it. He was like, "Yeah, come on." And we did some work for them. They loved it and decided to form a little partnership with them.
Yep.
And it's been, definition of mutually beneficial, right? It's beneficial for us as far as being able to showcase what we can do while also making money, of course. And for them, they've been able to sell some vehicles, and one or two of them that we know. Even if someone might have been on the fence before, they saw the video and were like, "Yeah, I'll come in and go through with the deal." And so, we love that. We love to know that we could help them.
You help Drew and you help that person.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I guess we help the customer too. They got the car of their dreams.
Yeah.
So that's been good. Obviously, just started hitting up people in the circle next, right? People I know. I think the second place we filmed for, I could pull out Instagram and give you exacts, but I think the second place we filmed for was Hattie's Toyland. Mm-hmm. And we went over there. They were like, "Yeah, please." I know Taylor Philpott, went to high school with him. Him and his wife Kelsey have an absolutely beautiful store over in the entertainment district. Picked a date, went over there, filmed for them. They absolutely loved it. And immediately provided us with people that they thought would also like for us to come out and do some video work for them. And that's kind of how it's spread for the most part right now.
And did you mention how much we charge those people?
No, yeah. So it's been a big risk for them, completely free. So that's something we're doing, especially right now, this early, 100% free. We'll come out for a business we haven't worked for. We will film a free, high quality Instagram reel showcasing everything that you've put your blood, sweat, and tears into to make your business, to highlight what you've made. So that's cool. And if people decide that they want to then go to a paid service with us, then great. And if they don't, then it's no big deal. We still enjoy the experience with them, and they have something that they'll forever have on their social media.
Yeah. And if you're starting a business, I know a lot of people are like, "No, I'm going to charge what I'm worth and make as much money as possible." And I maybe it's because I've owned a business for so long, and like, money's real. Money stinks. I wish you didn't need money, but you have to have the utility to pay the bills, the electricity, the mortgage, your employees. And so a lot of these business owners, like, the outside looks great, but it's hard. It's very hard. And going back to providing the value is what we decided is we just want to provide the value. And if they don't want to continue, that's great. We'll ask them how we can improve. And we've had clients that are like, we have a zero budget, and we don't go, "Well, we're not going to do the free one." We do it anyways. Mm-hmm. And for one, that turned into a retainer. For the rest of them, that's totally fine. But it introduces you to more people, grows your network. So, and I don't want to get too off topic, but there's a Japanese concept called ikigai, and it means life purpose. And one of the 4 circles is what the world needs. And that's, not to go into another concept here, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's like security, food, relationship. I forget what the next one is, but the last one is self-actualization, which means you're doing what brings you purpose and gets you into kind of that flow state. And at the end of the day, like, me and James getting to hang out and go to these police departments. I did a virtual shooting simulator, or what was that called today?
It's called the Vertra, but it's a training simulator. So to keep on that, like I obviously do this work for the Trussville Police Department, and it's helped us a lot. And Andrew's thing is like we should offer this service
Yeah.
to other police departments instead of having to hire, take an officer off the street, whatever, they can hire our company to come in. And so we've already done one for Vestavia Hills Police Department. They've been fantastic. They basically let us come in, made everything easy. Hey,
Yeah.
what do y'all need? We'll make it happen. We'll have people there. We made a reel. I wish I could show it on the screen right now, but I got to wait until they give me the all clear to release it. It's coming. It just hasn't dropped yet, but they love it, and hopefully that's going to lead to some future relationship there. And this morning, we went to the Hoover Police Department. That's where we were at this morning. I came in here, started setting up some of this gear, and then we hopped in the car, went to Hoover PD, met with several people there to include their chief. They were more than welcoming. Mm-hmm. They've got a vision, and one of the things they talked about was branding.
Right.
That they have even something like that, a government entity. You still have like a brand name, something you're known for. People know or expect at the Trussville Police Department. They expect this level of service, and the same goes for these other police departments as well. So we go in and we meet with them so that we can help them communicate the brand that they have built.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, that was this morning, and he got to do. We were at their training facility, and I was like, "Oh yeah, y'all got the Vertra, which is 5 screens, and it's a training simulator." And
They didn't tell me any of that. They were like,
yeah, I knew exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And he had no clue what
he was
it
like,
was.
you need to go do the Vertra, and I was like,
They were like,
I'm in.
They were like, you can do it.
But I've also done the simulation SWAT team training, gotten shot, and it hurt. So when he was like, go do the Vertra, it's like, what's the Vertra? Is it a gauntlet?
I think it's the Vertra. Yeah, I'm gonna have to Google that.
Yeah, it is. I saw it. Yeah. And it's big. It's 5 huge projector screens with all these lasers and everything. And you basically stand in a taped off circle with a Glock that has a red dot sight and then a gas powered canister for a mag. And nobody told me anything. They're like, all right, here you go. And
it's like doing VR,
right,
but no headset,
right,
monitors in front of you.
So they're like, go, and I still don't even know what it is. I just know I have a Glock, and there's one screen, and it's like, copy's like, hey, we're going in, come on. And I didn't know if I was supposed to talk. I didn't say anything, but I wanted to be like, all right. I didn't know if I got in trouble for speaking for this, but so I'm standing still, but obviously the camera's progressing. And then you quickly realize it's an active shooter situation in a school, and a girl's like, help, they're shooting. And I was like, oh, I got this, because it's one screen. And then you go forward, and then all 5 of them turn on. And then you're like, wait a second. He could be anywhere. So you're checking every which way. And then immediately the guy on the screen pops out with a rifle and shooting at me. And of course, I shoot all over the place and then eventually take him down. But it was really cool. Stuff like that. Like we talked about the free content and expanding your network. And the Ikigai and stuff like that. For me, that it's so cool to blend what you're good at with experiencing more that life has to offer. Like how many people get to do the Vertra simulator and experience that. So it was really cool.
Which everyone should.
Everyone should. I think everybody should do a ride along with a cop. 15's your permit, 16's your driver's license, 18 you're an adult. At 17. It might probably too young to go in a cop ride, but even if it could be virtual, where you realize bad things happen at night, and this is what police officers do, because even the SWAT team training, being able to do that with you guys and see how professional you are, and even as the bad guy, I get to shoot the police officers, but as I'm James tells me in the simulation, like, definitely shoot. Like, as I'm bringing my gun up, like, I'm already peppered all up, no pun intended, and you just go, man, these guys, they're not just tough testosterone men. They're precise and professional, and they're doing a job, and it just makes you respect, like, things you're not necessarily privy to on a day-to-day basis. So, but yeah, Vestavia was cool, Hoover was cool. All those guys are awesome, and yeah, it all boils down to you showing people that you can provide value to them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's been really cool. Through all this, through working with Courtesy, and then doing all these other free videos for all these other businesses to try to get their feet wet. We've since brought on someone who does incredible work.
Yeah.
His name's Aiden. Phenomenal work. He had a little bit of a slow start. It's crazy. I say slow start, and people are going to think it took him like months or years to get to putting out the content that he's putting out. But I don't mean it like that. So the slow start was I think he was nervous to like give me an end result,
Yeah.
And he finally was like, "Hey, will you send me that footage from tonight?" And I was like, "I'm not sending you anything till you give me something on the past footage."
Yeah.
And he threw it to me, and I've told him this, so I can say it on the podcast. I legitimately saw the footage, and I was like, "He outsourced this."
Yeah, it was good.
He outsourced this footage.
very
There's
good.
no way. But nope, it was him.
Because he's young.
Yeah,
he's very
young. He's 18. He just graduated high school.
He's half my age. Yeah, that's wild.
And his parents, awesome, I think, on their end. He didn't want to go to college. He has like an entrepreneur heart. He's very creative, and he wanted to do something with that creativity, and he was actually wanting to get into videography. So this became a way for him to come on with us as an intern. And then as soon as we saw what he could produce, we basically immediately turned him into paid employment.
Yeah.
And I just see him growing just at an exponential rate.
Yeah.
So things with the business, as far as being a business owner, it's been weird. I still don't feel like a business owner other than the hours. It's been a lot. It's very much, because on my normal scheduled week, it's Tuesday through Friday from 7 to 5 at the PD. And so that means my film days are either Saturdays, Sundays, or Mondays. And my editing is either Saturdays, Sundays, or Mondays, or after 5, Tuesday through Friday. And it's become, my wife, who's been awesome, has like, she sees that this has potential. So she's just like, I got it. I'll come in and say, hey, maybe grab something to eat, whatever, and then I'll go upstairs and we'll either jump on a phone call or I'll work on some editing
So being full time at TPD, you also run a business. So did you think that was possible? And what about other people who obviously have jobs that have a passion for something and probably think they can't do it? It's not easy, right?
It's not easy, but I think that like anyone who's ever started something that has become successful, for the most part, you're going to have those one-off stories where like, it all just fell in my lap.
Right.
But for the most part, everybody's going to say like, for my first year, for my first 2 years, for my first 5, 10, who knows, depending on the business.
Right.
This was an absolute grind. And I know CFT was a grind in the very, very early days. And it's still a grind today, right?
Still a grind, yeah.
It's still a grind.
Yeah, it's true.
I've been fortunate that things have been going as smooth as they have, especially with the economy in the state that it's in. That's where Andrew kind of keeps telling me like, hey dude, this is really good. Like this is very, very good. Like the rate that we're moving at right now.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that just speaks to how much value you're providing people, because you haven't had any really sales experience, like approaching people who aren't interested, because that's what a lot of businesses do, where you're like, sell my doodad or buy my doodad, and they're like, I don't need it. And that's, I think, what a lot of people think business is, where it's like a salesman. I'm trying to push this thing, and that's not what it is. It's, I've got this, and you're just trying to find your customers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we have, and we're gonna hit some walls. I'm sure we're gonna hit some snafus or whatever that's gonna happen. But so far, everyone that I've talked to or we've talked to or whatever, when we're like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is the service we offer. And of course, a lot of time, how much? I was like, we can get into that. I can give you rough estimates, but I'd rather you just let me do this for you for free and try it out. And then we'll talk about it, because so much of how much is it going to cost goes into what you need. And I'm not going to try to sell you what you need is 30 videos a month at this, that, and other. And it's like, I don't
Which
really...
is what a lot of people do, though. That's the traditional thing.
Yeah.
You negotiate for as much as you can possibly get.
But that, at the end of the day, wouldn't leave us as a business as a whole time to do more than just that client, just that one client, right? And so I want to give you enough that's going to keep a steady flow. And most people's answers are, I was just talking to the owner the other day, or my manager. I was just talking to so-and-so about how we wanted to step up our social media game. I mean, that conversation has happened at least 50% of the time.
Yeah.
And so that means that we didn't come in here with something they weren't thinking about. People were already thinking about ways that they could do what we're offering to do for them. So I think that's why it has been so smooth, I guess, is the right. I don't want to say easy. I don't want to say, but like it's.
What would you say you've learned? I'm not going to answer it. I feel like I know the answer, but I can think of a lot of stuff that we've talked about, honestly.
Yeah, no, there's so much. I know nothing. There are, if you're thinking about doing a small business, I've learned there's a lot of benefits to that, right? I'm not leaving my job or anything like that. But some people may be able to leave whatever their 9 to 5 is to do that. And that's a huge benefit, right? Working for yourself versus someone else. As far as like learning stuff goes, man, just the fact that, like, if you have a service or a product that truly like can help or benefit people or whatever, you can make money off of it. I hate to put it that way. You can make money off of it, but no, it's a good transaction because they're paying for something that is going to make them more money.
There you go. That's
right?
a better way to frame it.
Yeah. But that it truly is it. Is like you don't even know what I mean. You may have something that I'm not thinking about right now that you're like, oh, people could just try it.
Yeah.
And the free to fee model.
Yeah.
I can't speak enough about that.
Yeah.
Like yes, it's time. Yes, it's doing hundreds or thousands of dollars of work and getting nothing in return right then in the moment. But in the long term, what we've seen so far is like, this is how confident that what we're doing is not only good, but that you're going to love it and that you need it more than you realize.
Yeah.
So here, we're going to do it for free and no strings attached.
Yeah.
Then you tell me if it's something that you want to budget for.
Yeah. And it doesn't work for everybody. Everybody's business is different. There's plenty of businesses. I have some as well that free to fee is an impossible concept. Traditionally, you do paid Facebook ads and try to get clients, and geolocation, all that stuff, bring them in, cold leads, conversion, and the whole 9 yards. But yeah, if you can get some exposure, get in front of the right people, provide them real value, and then communicate to them. We've had a lot of conversations where people are like, well, it's how much is it? And it's a fine question, but it's less of how much is it and more of it needs to be looked at as an investment, because we've educated even our own clients that this isn't just something that you're going to expense and lose. Ideally, for every dollar you spend, you're going to get $2 back. There's a metaphor for, it's really like investing, but if you had an ATM and every dollar you put in, you get $1.01 out. How much dollars are you going to put in? All your dollars, because you're getting more back. Unless you find an ATM where you get a dollar and a nickel, then you go to that ATM and, but yeah, it's an investment,
Mm-hmm.
So, but every business is different, and it's just worked for us.
So we'll throw it back to you then.
Okay.
You have started multiple businesses, some that you still own,
Yeah.
some that you've phased out. Is that the right term? Phased out?
He closed,
Closed,
died,
okay.
dead, take out to pasture. Yeah, there's multiple ways to put it.
Okay. So you've been involved in multiple businesses.
Yeah.
What's your take on this one and how things are? I mean,
It's great,
It's
yeah.
early. It's 3 months, but
No, you can judge a business pretty quickly. Drip was hard. Drip took about a year to break even. I say hard. It required a pretty hefty investment up front. Daniel bought the building. If I didn't have this, I would have loved to have been involved in that, because real estate is great. If you ever want to get into real estate, really, really good investment, as long as it's a good area. But anyway, so that was expensive for him. He had to renovate the building. And Drip, you just have to buy a lot of stuff. You have to buy the B12, you have to buy the syringe, you have to buy the furniture, you have to buy. So the initial investment is very, very high. But it's doing well. It took about a year to break even, and it's cruising, with a little bit of input. It doesn't require very much anymore, because we've been able to delegate that out. But other businesses have been very, very hands-on. You can start any business you want. There's risks in everything. Depends on how hands-off you want to be. If you want to go buy property, it's very hands-off. Unless you're a landlord, then it's a little bit of hands-on, but the risk is through the roof. Which means you need a lot of padding, financial padding, in case your tenant defaults or whatever. With this one, we had the camera gear, we had all the stuff. It didn't require, and when I bring up Daniel buying the building, we pay Daniel rent. So that overhead, those utilities, taxes, insurance, that's just a lot. And employees, that's a lot. But with Horizon, it's basically me and you, and we're about to add Aiden, so we'll have our first real employee. And low overhead. If you can start with low overhead, I've told people 1,000 times, you can start it in your garage. Start in your garage. I've had so many people like, I want to start this thing, and I'm looking at leasing the space, and it's like, why? Just go see. And I told this to you, right? Like, make money first before you even, and that's what we did. See if people want this thing before you file with the state that you have this LLC and wake up the IRS. Just go see if you can help. And so yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but there's 1,000 different ways a business could go depending on how much risk and all that stuff you have. And this has been pretty easy and fun. Very, very fun.
Yeah, it's been cool. I like my favorite is when I get to actually deliver. Deliver in person. That's always been my favorite. Even over at the PD, like when I create something, I like watching someone watch what I've made.
Yeah. You made some people cry.
Made some people cry. So that's it's like, is that good or bad? You know, which has got to be good because you didn't pay anything for it. But haven't had anything going viral yet. But I think that's just around the corner.
Yeah, I agree.
But also, I mean, we'll talk about this too. Like, really not in the business of making things go viral. And I say that, don't shut it off just yet if you've watched this far. I think that the most important thing is like consistent, sustainable growth. That's whether you own a drip business or you're trying to grow your social media platforms. You don't want to be like a one hit wonder. Everybody piles in, they get burned out, they leave, right? Because that can be really hard to deal with. What you want is just like consistent following, consistent engagement, and you want it to constantly be growing.
Yeah, building a base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you want that maybe one day if you do go viral, right? And let's say you've hired us and you used us for 6 months and you have 6 months worth of high quality content on your socials that we've created for you. And then you have something that does really well or goes viral or whatever. Then when people click to go to your page, they see that it's not a one-off of high quality content.
Right.
It's a page full of it. And then they start watching all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's how the PD stuff is growing, especially on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, we would have a video do really good, but then it was once we had several videos stacked up that people would go binge watch, and that's kind of how that went.
Yeah. And I'm excited about the podcast. You know, we've talked a lot about Horizon today and the Phoenix and CrossFit Trussell, but this is not going to be a talk about us podcast. No. So it definitely, I'm glad that today we got to hash kind of catching up and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, we're most interested in talking to other people.
Yeah.
Some of the best things I've ever learned were from other people who've been doing things in their life, you know, with intentionality and can actually, you know, give me some guidance on what to avoid, what to go towards. You know, a lot of people poured into me when I was a lot younger, and those lessons have stuck with me. But then also, you know, we didn't talk about our personal lives at all and why it is what it is really speaks to us personally.
Yeah. Every I don't want to say everyone, most people, because I also know you hate absolutes.
I'm not a fan of always and never, for sure. Yeah.
The majority of people can look at their life and they can probably identify an it is what it is moment.
Yeah.
Right? To where you're like, this is not what I envisioned.
Well, let's do this.
Go ahead.
What was that? If you had a moment or two or three, give me one where you, because I know mine.
Yeah, I mean, so for me and my family, and I don't want to say this is in any kind of bad way, because turned out to be just the absolute joy of my entire life. But you know, me and my wife struggled to get pregnant. We got pregnant, miscarriage, resulted in surgery. Took a lot of time to get over that. Got pregnant again. Miscarriage that ended up being rushed surgery where she lost a fallopian tube, right? So now everybody who's like always excited about pregnancy, we get pregnant and we're like, I'm sorry, maybe I'm pessimistic, but you're just like, all right, who's ready for the bad news again? And you go in and you're basically told, and I'll just condense it so you understand the feels and all that, is just we were told, you know, your child has spina bifida. We don't know the severity, but most likely she won't be able to feed herself or breathe properly on her own, and will have very low quality of life. And so what would you like to do about it? Would you like us to let you go talk to some people over in Georgia so they can set you up with an abortion? Nah, that goes completely against our, you know, religion, our belief system, and not trying to throw shade at anybody who's made the decision the other way. Not trying to do that. But for us, we couldn't do that. It is what it is. And we are going to just continue to pray about it and and see what unfolds. And it's unfolded to the greatest thing I've ever created, my daughter. Right? So that is 100%. It would have been very easy to just go, woe is me and
Right.
Candace.
Right.
Oh, it's so how. And guess what? There are times we were like that, right? There are plenty of times we cried and this, that, and the other, and it was nothing to do with our daughter. It's the realization of how are we going to handle this.
Right.
But we did that just together and privately and leaning on each other. But it was hey, this is what it is. And it's kind of the same way we approach things with our daughter, because there's been some tough times where she's done I wish I could walk like everybody else. And it's like, you can't, unfortunately.
Right.
And don't do anything for that, but you can't. And we cannot dwell on that. We have to find other things we can do and whatnot. So mine's long and drug out and whatnot, but
Perfect.
what about yours?
Mine, for me, if I think of one defining moment of where I really just had that moment of recognizing life is temporary and the life that you're dealt is what it is. I don't want to keep keep restating that, but when my mom passed away when I was 10 or 11 years old, which was really tough, and then it's tough for sure, formative years, and cried all the time. I would leave school because I just couldn't be there. Cry at night, cry alone in your bed, and then just like one night, I would literally, I don't know how old I was, probably 11 or 12. I just went, like, I cried, and like almost something in my brain like just like flipped a switch, and I went, wait a minute, like, she's not coming back. There's nothing I can do about it. If I am sad forever, then I'm gonna miss out on a lot of other things. So not that I need to get over it in terms of like that didn't happen or I need to be okay with it, but I just need to accept that that is reality and that I can progress from here. Because I realize, like, at some point I'm going to be okay with this, whether it's 6 months from now, 6 years from now, 20 years from now, or 60 years from now. At some point I will get over it. So I just decided to, like, I'm going to just start moving forward. And I use the words start moving forward because it really was kind of the philosophy that I have, that recognizing what was reality and then starting to identify solutions and, manage that in a healthy way. Because I think a lot of people I know a lot of people get unfair hands dealt to them, and all too often in life, we maybe don't handle it the best way. Our emotions get a hold of us, and you can get self-destructive and hurt people around you or whatever. But at the end of the day, you can't control what happens to you, but you can control what you do with what happens to you. And so, yeah, that's, I think with you and your daughter and, a lot of the situations, not just those two that we've experienced, we're not unique. Everybody has gone through stuff like that.
Or multiple situations.
Absolutely. I think everybody could probably think of one right off the top of their head. But if you sit down, you sit back and you start thinking, like, yeah, what were those moments? They happen to everybody, but those are the types of things that I think are really healthy for people to talk about.
Yes.
And learn from. You always hear, why did this happen? And it's part of your testimonial. You can help somebody else going through it. So that's why it's not that we want to bring people on that are going through something tough and down in the doldrums, but just have good, healthy conversations of like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. And how can we learn from you, and how can we get better and all that stuff? So
Yeah, and it doesn't even. I mean, it doesn't even always have to be like something tragic too.
No.
It's just literally like, maybe being dealt a hand you were not happy with, but there's nothing you can do about it. So what am I going to do to adapt and
Yeah.
keep moving forward, like
Yeah.
you talked about.
Moving
So
forward.
That's
Positive.
that's what we really want, like the whole basis of this podcast to be about. That's why we're going to call it that. We're going to post it on the Horizon YouTube, and it's just going to be a branch of Horizon Creative.
Yeah.
But all these episodes will be labeled, the It Is What It Is podcast episode. Going forward, throw down the gauntlet a little bit. Our biggest thing, because we loved what we did with the Grit and Grindstone channel, and I'll link those two below, just in case anyone actually wants to hear the full story of how me and you became friends, and then the whole situation with the gym burning down and having Gabriel Wright, bring his perspective in there. You can check those out in the description below. But moving forward, we would really like to put out one of these every 2 to 3 weeks. And we'd really like to set out, a time frame in the future. We want to commit to it and see what this does. If people like this kind of content, then we're going to keep rolling with it.
Yeah.
And if people don't, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
And,
No pun intended.
And going, just to give more clarity to what we're trying to do, it sounded almost like depressing kind of, but it's really talking to solution-oriented people.
That's a great way to put it.
That's it. You know what I mean? Not that you had to have something terrible, but what are you factually doing? Mm-hmm. Not complaining. We're not whining. We're not being negative at all. It is specifically improving our lives. Mm-hmm. And how did you do that? Because I talked to, Wes Taylor when I was super young, and he had owned multiple businesses and properties, and I didn't know what in the world I was doing. And a lot of people say, hey, you're doing great, you're going to be successful. And it's like, I don't have any money, and I'm broke and exhausted. I appreciate you saying,
but that doesn't do anything for my bank
you're
account.
going to be successful. Like, I'm not, and it stinks, and I regret this. And the difference of what we would like to do isn't that we don't want to be positive and have good emotional, support, but more so the Wes Taylors that were, to me, he was like, here's what you need to go set up. Here's what you need to do. And that objective truth, even though it wasn't necessarily supportive in like an emotional way, it was extremely supportive in a practical, pragmatic, real way, So those are the types of conversations I want to have. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we will next episode. We haven't locked it in yet, but we'll have a guest on next episode. We'll rock and roll right into basically how we want the future of this podcast to go until something else changes the direction of it, and looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to update Horizon stuff and Phoenix and CFT and every other business that Andrew owns and whatnot. But I'm excited about it. And yeah, that's really all I got. You got anything else you want to close out with?
No, not at all. I mean, you mentioned all the businesses. I don't care if we never talk about business. I just want to, I can't wait to talk to folks and learn from people.
Yeah.
So, but obviously that'll pop up. I mean, it's all that we do and we love. So those will come up from time to time. But
yeah. Well, cool. We're gonna close out then. Thanks if you made it this far. We'll have another one soon. By all means, hit us up at down in the comments or email us contact at hrznCreative.com. I didn't want to mess that up. That'll also be linked down below if you are interested in being a guest on the podcast or have anything else, any ideas, anything like that for us. Please hit us up. Otherwise, you'll see us around, and yeah, see ya.
bye.
Kaboom!